Right, so at the end of the first Tommy Johansson video, I said that I wasn't done and that I'd be back for part two. There was absolutely no way that I was fitting everything that I had found out into one video. But at the time, I didn't know what part two was actually going to be about. I could make this video into something very similar to the first video, adding facts, songs, projects, a lot of the things that I missed out and putting into the first video. But the more I kept looking into Tommy, the more I realised that the thing that keeps standing out about him isn't how much he can do. It's not how many instruments he can play or any of that there. It's about how much fun he seems to have doing it. So this is a man who took an Aqua song, turned it into a full blown metal cover, and put basically like a gremlin mascot into the video with him wearing sunglasses, singing and playing the drums. If that's not having fun, then I don't know what is. So skip forward to this morning. This week's video wasn't even meant to be another Tommy but video or a part two of Tommy. I'm sitting here, I'm playing my guitar. Actually, I wasn't even really playing my guitar. I'm sitting with my basically my effects pedal, which is like my amp simulators, and I'm trying to tweak the gain and I'm trying to tweak the mids because my guitar's just sounding really muddy and I can't. It's just not pleasant to my ear. So it was driving me mad. I was doing this for 50 minutes and I'm trying to figure out different EQ settings and different patches to try and get the guitar sounding like perfect the way that I want it to be. At one point, I even contemplating do I just go and buy a new guitar or at least buy new pickups to put in it. And so I stopped and I just kind of thought to myself, why am I taking this so seriously? I didn't start playing the guitar so I could sit here and have an emotional breakdown over like a couple of like gain knobs or tweaking the guitar or tweaking the amp like the way that I was like trying to do this morning. I got into playing the guitar for fun. I'm not a professional. I'm not trying to get dialed in for a band. I'm literally sitting in this room myself, playing backing tracks, And so that's when Tommy popped back in my head again, because he seems like someone who makes music because he just enjoys making the music, and it probably helps that the fact that he's good enough to actually pull off these mad ideas that most of us wouldn't even have a clue where they start with. So this video isn't really about Tommy the guitarist or Tommy the singer or Tommy whatever other instruments that he plays. It's about Tommy Johansson, and I'm calling it the lost art of having fun with music. So once I had that idea in my head that Tommy Johansson and the lost art of having fun with music, I went back to his channel looking for all of the fun stuff because that was the whole point of the video that I had in my head first, that I wanted to do here. So I wanted to find the videos where he's clearly enjoying himself, that he's creating characters, those mad ideas, the one man band thing, the stuff that makes you sit there laughing your head off, and you can't really believe that what it is you're actually watching. But then, like everything with Tommy, the rabbit hole opened up again because the more I watched, the more I started finding music I hadn't seen the first time around. And I want to be honest about the scale of this thing because there's over 370 videos that I had to kind of sift through. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've watched it all because I absolutely haven't. And I know fine rightly that there's so many people out here watching this who have probably seen way more Tommy videos than I've seen episodes of actual television programs, So, but after watching hours and hours of, Tommy's videos, I did start getting a much better sense of why so many people love him. And I want to say that carefully because I don't know Tommy personally. I'm not sitting here pretending that I know the man, but I do think that you can learn something from what a person keeps choosing themselves to create. And so, what stands out to me with Tommy isn't just his voice or his guitar playing, or the fact that he can do the work of five people before I've even figured out if my gain's too high or not. It's the feeling you get whenever you listen to his music. Because you start off looking for the fun songs, but then you find the friends, and then you find the family, and then you find all of these little worlds he's building around his songs, and suddenly it becomes more than just Tommy does good covers. It starts feeling like Tommy has built this place where music is allowed to be fun, dramatic, emotional, ridiculous, heartfelt, and completely over the top sometimes, all in the same video. But the first thing that really hit me was what he does with the different versions of himself on screen. because he obviously, it's him playing all the parts, right? That's the whole thing. It's Tommy on the guitar, the bass, the drums, singing, doing backing vocals, the banjo. Tommy's somehow standing all over the screen like one man has turned in an entire rehearsal room. But he doesn't just film himself 4 times and stick it side to side and go, right, that's the cover, enjoy yourself. He gives them all characters. That's the bit that I love. The drummer doesn't feel like the same person as the singer, and the bass player doesn't feel like the same person as the guitarist. And whoever's standing up the back doing the backing vocals, he's got his own wee storyline going on that we're never going to fully understand. And after a while, you stop watching it like one man playing different parts. The best example that I've seen so far is Cotton Eye Joe, because that one is absolutely perfect. So I'm watching it, and I know it's all Tommy, and I can clearly see it's Tommy. I haven't completely lost my mind yet, but at the same time, every version of him just feels like a completely different man. How hilarious is that? I couldn't tell you how many times I've sat and watched that there. Every time it gets to that part where the violinist or the keyboard goes like, I don't know how to play the violin, with like the big laugh, it just cracks me up every time. And actually, the whole way he builds the character, it kind of reminds me a bit of the TV show Orphan Black. I don't know if any of you have ever watched that, but basically what it is, it's this one woman, and she basically plays all the different parts of these clones. And so I'm not saying Tommy's trying to reference that or anything like that, but that's just where my head went. Every time I see Tommy playing all these different characters, it reminds me of kind of the way the girl plays it in Orphan Black. So I know it's Tommy, you can see it's Tommy, but like he does such a good job, like I think with the characters that you kind of want to believe that it's somebody else. So. And then what's next? You've got the ZZ Top stuff. I think that stands out as well. ZZ Top, they already have such a strong identity as a band. They've got the beards, the sunglasses, the swagger, the groove. And so when Tommy does the whole thing himself, it's not just that he's playing the guitar and the bass and the drums and the vocals. He's doing the whole band. He's stepping into the feel of it. He's got the attitude, and the swagger, and he's dancing around and playing the solos and stuff. But it's just such a weird specific skill that he has, because like there's so many people out there that can multi-track themselves, but not everybody can make you feel like you're actually legitimately watching the drummer as a different player from the bass player. And then, just when I thought I had seen it all, and I teased a little bit of it at the start, but then I found Roses Are Red by Aqua, and this might be one of my favourite examples of the whole thing so far, because not only has he taken an Aqua song and turned it into a full-blown metal version of it, but he also has this wee creature standing in there with him, playing the drums, wearing sunglasses, singing, looking something like he's escaped from the Gremlins. I think it's maybe his mentor or something like that. But oh man, that there just cracked me up when I seen that. Come pick my roses. Of course Tommy has done this, because that is exactly what I'm talking about. He just doesn't cover the song. He builds a wee world around it. He builds characters, the looks, the humour, the whole thing. It's friggin' hilarious, and it's certainly not lazy. The song is still done properly. The arrangement still works. The performance is there. It's not a joke with the music underneath it. It's a proper metal cover, uh, but just in Tommy's own crazy mad spin off of it. And I think that's the most important bit for me so far. It's the fun is not separate from the music. Tommy's learned how to keep the fun as part of the music. And that's where I started realizing that this video couldn't just be about the funny side either, because the more I watched, the more I started seeing all of these other sides of Tommy's world. And one of the big ones was the stuff connected to Kristen Starky. Now, I had no idea who Kristin was before this rabbit hole, but this isn't just some random singer showing up in a Tommy video. She sings with Twilight Force, she's in Temperaments, she has a doctorate in vocal performance, and she sings professional opera as well as metal, which explains a lot, because when you watch her step into these big dramatic songs, she doesn't even look even remotely embarrassed to be there. And I mean that as a compliment, because some songs you need to go all in. You can't half sing them. You can't stand there just looking like you're there to be cool, because the second you do that, the whole thing dies. So the first song that I stumbled across with Kristin was a version of It's All Coming Back to Me Now. And so that song is not a subtle song by any means. That song is basically standing on the edge of a cliff in a thunderstorm with your arms out, remembering every heartbreak that you've ever had in your life, even the ones you didn't have. So if you're going to cover that, you have to commit to it. And that's what I liked about watching Kristin and Tommy do it, because it's big, it's dramatic, it's theatrical, and they just both seem completely comfortable living inside this kind of a song. Then there's Mama I'm Coming Home, the Ozzy Osbourne tribute, and so that one hits a little different again, because now it's not about characters or being playful in the same way. It's more about the respect and emotion, and taking a song people already love and trying to honour it instead of just using it as material. Because when I say that Tommy makes music fun, I don't mean that every video has to be silly or full of big characters or daft faces in the background. Sometimes the fun of the music is just getting pulled into a song because the performance is that committed. Sometimes it's not laughter, sometimes it's goosebumps. You took me in and you draw me out, yeah, you had me hypnotized, yeah, lost and found and turned around by the fire in your eyes. I've seen your face 1,000 times. Every day we've been apart, and I don't care about the sunshine, yeah. 'Cause mama, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming And so the third song that I stumbled across with Tommy and Kristin was Dead Ringer. I forgot the name of it there for a second. Dead Ringer for Love, and that was Meatloaf and Cher. So this song was amazing. There was so much fun. Maybe it was the fact that they were in a bar, they had their buddies, kind of reminded me a little bit of like Grease Lightning. But there was a lot of Easter eggs in that video. So You just go and watch it. I'm going to link all of these songs in the description. They make it easy for you to go and check them out. But watch it and see how many of the Easter eggs that you picked up on. Like, they clearly had a blast making that song, and it was just a pleasure to watch. So, and this was the thing that I was kind of thinking and noticing, about Tommy, and I'll get the more of this in the next segment of this when we look at family. But with Kristin, it feels like he's bringing in another brilliant singer into the world with him. He's not trying to keep the spotlight all on himself. I came back today they learn more about Tommy, and now I have to learn about Kristen Starky as well, because of Tommy. And from a quick look through her page, I can see that there's going to be a lot of cool covers on there as well. They check out, in the future. So that's why I love this channel, going down these rabbit holes and finding these musicians that I might never have discovered before, and hopefully being able to share some of these with you guys as well. So that's the friends part wrapped up. Now let's get on to the family section. Now I know there's obviously a lot more than one friend. I just picked Kristin just because I had a look of them 3 songs that she done, and there's so many songs in here. We can maybe dive into other songs and other artists in the future. But after I finished with Kristin stuff, then the rabbit hole opened up a little bit more again when I came across one particular song that Tommy done with his niece. And this is where the idea of this video started getting a wee bit more kind of like heartwarming for me, I guess, as you could say. Because I came across just out of the blue, the duet with his niece Talia. And that one is a completely different kind of Tommy video. It's not the mad character. It's not a big theatrical duet like the way it is with Kristin. It's not him turning a whole rehearsal room, by himself, turning into a whole rehearsal room by himself. It's just a sweet video with him and his niece, and they sing this beautiful song. And I am not even going to try and pronounce the song because I don't speak Swedish, but here's a little bit of that song. So when I watched the songs with his niece, and there's 2 songs that I found, and actually that song that I just played there, I believe that it was his niece's dad, Tommy's father, or Tommy's brother-in-law, who actually wrote that song, and he also does a bunch of songs with Tommy. But when I watched the ones with his niece, it just reminded me of my little niece back home. Now I live in Canada, and so my family lives in Ireland, and unfortunately I don't get to spend as much time with them as I would like. But my little niece, Chloe, is just an absolutely gorgeous singer, and I would absolutely love to be able to like sit down and play the guitar, and for her to sing some songs, and us to like do some, but like create some music, like the way Tommy did with his little niece. I think that'd be one of the coolest things ever. So when you see Tommy, doing things like this here with his niece, it kind of reminds you that he's not just this stereotypical metalhead, that like a lot of these guys maybe get some sort of a reputation to be badasses or whatever. he's a family man. There's warmth there. There's a genuine love of the music and sharing it. With his family around him and his friends. Uh, and so then I discovered that Telia's dad. So I won't spend too long on Kim, because that's a story for another day. But him himself he's an absolute shredder on the guitar. Like that man can seriously play. He wrote that song that Tommy and Telia did, and you know what? For that little kid, they grew up with Tommy on one side and Kim on the other side with both their guitars. It's a ridiculous set of musical mentors they have around you. I wouldn't have mind having that whenever I was her age. And so checking the descriptions of the videos with Tommy and Kim, they call themselves svaggers. I'm not too sure what that actually means in Swedish. But I think it's, from what I read, I think it's Swedish brawler. It means brawler-in-law in Sweden. Uh, but correct me if I'm wrong. And so I apologize if I completely butchered it. Unfortunately, Swedish is definitely not a language that I speak or even can let on they speak. So, but I'm trying to learn how to pronounce these words more, more and more. So I am. So, but I love this whole part of this video because it just really shows you Tommy's family thread running through Tommy's world. It's not just about the big covers or all the characters that he creates. The one in the one man band. There's a lot of family stuff in there. He's got his niece, his brother-in-law. There's lots of other little musical connections that make it feel like he hasn't forgotten where he's came from at all in the slightest. And so then we'll end it with one more song that I found. I found a song called Ghost Riders in the Sky, and it was Tommy J featuring the family and Hendrik Lindfors. And so this one might be the bit where everything kind of clicked for me, to be honest with you, because at first I thought, right, this is just the family one. This is where we get to see the people around him, and that's already lovely by itself. But then you watch it, and they're just not there. They're all playing characters. That's the bit that I love. It's not just Tommy building this world by himself anymore. Now he's brought the family and friends into it, and they're all joining him with the with the madness and chaoticness. Everybody has their part. Everybody has their look. Everybody is inside the song, and suddenly the whole thing just feels like a less like a normal music video and more like the Johansson family theater group taking over the West. So and of course, the wee gremlin looking boy is there too, because apparently he's part of the extended family now. I think I called him his mentor earlier. Actually, what I meant was it was his mascot, but I think his mentor too is kind of cool for sure. So. As the riders looked on by him, they heard him call his name. If you wanna save your soul from a heron on a range, then cowboy, change your way today, or with us you will ride. Try to catch a devil's herd across these endless skies. Ghost riders in the sky. But honestly, that video does say a lot, because it shows this isn't just Tommy making covers in a room on his own anymore. It's a world that he allows people into, his friends, his family, his brother-in-law, his niece. I believe his sister might have been in that video. I'm not too sure what she looks like, but there was a woman in there, that I presume is probably his sister dancing about as well. They're not just names in the credits, they're all part of it and having the fun and the experience of actually making this. And for the nieces, how amazing is that there, to be a part of this, the chances of them not growing up and at least loving music is pretty slim, And so after all of this, I kind of came to the conclusion that this is maybe why his channel feels so alive, because whether it's Tommy playing every version of the band himself, or him doing big dramatic duets, or singing with the niece, or the brother-in-law, or whoever else that I haven't mentioned, because there is a lot of people that he does covers with in there. But he makes music feel like a place that people are invited, and I think this is where I really started to understand why Tommy has the fan base that he has. It's not just that he can sing, and it's not just that he can play the guitar. It's not just that he can arrange all of these songs and turn himself into the whole band. It's all of it together. It's the fun, the imagination, the fact he doesn't seem embarrassed by music being big or dramatic or daft or emotional or completely over the top. It's the fact that he brings people into it with him, whether that's Kristin, Kim, Tilia, or Henrik, or the family showing up in Ghost Riders, and I'm sure there's other videos out there with a lot more of these family members participating in these videos that I just haven't come across, But I think underneath all of the madness, it's actually really lovely because it feels like he hasn't forgotten where he's came from. There's family there, there's friendship there, there's humour, and there's this genuine love of making music that runs through the whole thing. A lot of players make me go, Jesus, I'll never be that good. Tommy makes me go, that looks class. I want to make something. And maybe that's what I didn't really understand about Tommy and what you guys were all trying to show me this whole time. Not just look how good Tommy is, because I knew he was good. Like you can just watch one video and you can see he's good, but more like look at the world that he's built around him. And honestly, I think that's absolutely class. So thanks very much for watching. This was my video of Tommy Johansson Part 2. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any other artists that you would like me to cover or look into or even check out just for my own curiosity, put them in the comments. I'd love to go down more rabbit holes. So anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.